Great good morning, everyone. It is 9:11 a.m. on my Cordaro Jewelers watch. This beautiful Thursday, April 30th, the year of our Lord 2026. This is the Bob Cordaro Show. I am he, broadcasting today from the United States of America. I can prove it. We are the greatest nation ever. It's also the place where the brave, like the veterans we will salute today, thanks to John Basiliga and his great Basiliga Hospitality Group. These are men who have made us and kept us free. Like Edward Snyder, Covington Township, Thomas Raskowitz, Benton, Donald Harvey, Kirkinson, New York, but he was from German. Paul Tyrell, late of Petersburg, Florida, but he was from Scranton. John Doran, Wilkes-Barre, and Theodore Stemrick, Nescopec Township. The United States of America, founded with a certain knowledge and understanding by our amazing, irreplaceable, and profoundly wise founding fathers who knew that government should not, could not, and they made sure that it cannot and never shall be our parent, our guide, our direction, our salvation. Not any of these things. Because its power always means less freedom, less liberty, and less choice for Americans. Something lost on the Democrat Party. Oh, and the permanent bureaucracy. Our founding fathers knew that government power, because of human nature, should only be a necessary evil designed to protect an organized society. The United States of America, the country where for the first time in human history, freedom was declared by law to be an unalienable right granted to each individual by God. Freedom couldn't be parceled out to groups. It couldn't be controlled by government or government officials because our great American Constitution ensures and codifies freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom of association, economic freedom, and freedom of the press, no matter how they use or abuse it. You know why? Because we're free to ignore lies. Now, because Americans were armed with these freedoms, and only because of that fact, a ragtag bunch of immigrants, many of them rejects from around the world, they and their progeny created the richest, most powerful, most culturally diverse and accepting nation ever to grace our planet Earth. America, the only place specifically invented and designed so that every American can live their life in the manner they choose, unlimited by their background, upbringing, race, color, or creed, unhindered by the government or those who would use government to control others for their own comfort, benefit, or power. This Bob Cordaro Show will always be convincingly conservative, lovingly logical, proudly and passionately patriotic, and reliably right. And so, we gavel to order today's meeting of the Club for Common Sense, promising you that our total, immersive, immovable commitment to common sense will provide a sanctuary of sanity to all of you who hearken here for the balance of this singular, extraordinary morning. Well, we got a job to do. Not just because they're surrounding you on all sides. They're surrounding you on all sides. And you have people saying what is nonsense. You have an entire political party, the Democrats, they're just based, their entire party based on lies and nothing. The only thing they have is anti-Trump. And by the way, that could be part of anything. And you could dislike Donald Trump. I understand it. I get it. I happen to think he's funny. I get irritated with him often enough. I don't agree with every single thing these guys do, like the Comey indictment. I just stop. In Italian, the word's basta. But other than that, the policies are all common sense. We look at the Iran policy, which we started off the program with. And let us make this clear. And there is no mistake and there's no doubt about it. The evil leadership of Iran, in the name of religion, the Shia sect of the Muslim religion of Islam, their intent, stated intent, was to obtain a nuclear weapon to bring about their version of the apocalypse. Not to have it, but to use it to bring about their version of the apocalypse. Now, that's an undeniable fact. I would classify that clearly as evil, and that's before we even get into how they ran their country internally. What they did to the 92 or 3 million Iranians they governed over. It was corruption at the highest level. This was Nazi Germany in ascendance. And the parallels are frightening. They'd already made a deal that they wouldn't arm, and they ignored the deal. That's why when you have a complete, stupid, naive ass like Bernie Sanders bringing in red Chinese companies who don't develop a hell of a lot of their own technology, but steal American technology through our foolishness and their evil. But their intent was to bring about the apocalypse, the return of their 12th Imam. Their intent was to use the nuclear weapon that they were weeks or months away from obtaining. No one who even spends a limited amount of time could deny that. Now, what should we do about it? Because the second thing they were doing was developing drones and ballistic missiles, not only to deliver nuclear payload, but to defend the development of nuclear bombs. And Trump could have waited for political convenience till after the midterms. We would have been roaring. Gas prices would have been continued to drop $2.50, maybe less a gallon. But he realized, and his advisors were smart enough to tell him the truth, which is, because of the fools who were in office before you, Iran has become powerful. And they've got the capacity to build thousands of drones and hundreds of ballistic missiles each month. And every month you wait becomes more dangerous for the United States and the world. So these are the incontrovertible facts. These are not opinions. These are not guesses. This is what we know, and what anyone who would attempt to learn and educate themselves about Iran and the geopolitical situation they were creating would know. They were also allying with Russia, North Korea, and China in incredibly dangerous ways. Now, what would the sensible, common sense response to that be? Exactly what Trump did. He tried it in a limited engagement last year. And they finally said, well, you know what? Sadly, that takes care of a decent part of the program, but not the whole program, nuclear program of the Iranians. And they're going to use it if they get it. And now we have this Iranian war. I challenge anyone to give me an alternative to what Trump has done. And again, he could have waited. He could have waited and said, well, you know, we might lose some more planes. We might have more deaths on the ground in the Middle East. We might lose a ship or two. But I could help myself politically. I could help the Republican Party politically. He didn't choose to do that. He did what had to be done. And now the whiners and the liars, more importantly, the whiners are whining about gas prices. The liars are lying about gas prices and everything else. And we don't know, because the latest polls, you know, they're all over the place, that people are 50-50 on Republicans and Democrats in Congress. We're going to see. What normally happens, sadly, is that the Republicans don't get out to vote. They don't go out to vote. And because they don't vote, the party of government largesse, nonprofits and public unions, they get their people out. Because they're committed to destroying the country. And the billionaires and billionaire groups that fund the Democrat Party they're calling the tune, and the Democrat Party's dancing to that. Somebody says PA Senator John Fetterman on Fox again yesterday, saying, my party's rooting for Iran. I cannot realize why they can't see this murderous regime for what it is. I know, it's insane. It's insanity. It's lie based on lie based on lie piled upon a bed of lies. That's today's Democrat Party leadership. You could almost see people who benefit from its existence as it is, like elected officials. You could almost see why they would do it. Their self-interest overwhelms their common sense. And I mean, to have Fetterman call it out is actually invaluable. But that's where we are. And you go right down the line about every policy and get to the insanity of the Democrat Party, the insidious damage that they want to do and that we're trying to overcome from the 4 years of the Biden administration. All right, we'll take a break. Bob Cordaro, WILK. We'll be back. Our Veterans Tribute this hour and every hour, this day and every day, brought to you by our man, John Basiliga, and his great Basiliga Hospitality Group, because it's Thursday. It's time to start either enjoying the weekend or thinking about it. And among the places you need to go, the Old Brook Inn, 307 Springbrook Township, the Far Street Tavern in the great Trips Park section of West Scranton. Guess what? It's on Far Street. The Queen City Tavern, right in the main drag, downtown Oliphant. Fine dining, yep, we got that. The Stegmeyer Mansion, downtown Wilkes-Barre, South Franklin Street. The Mary Stegmeyer Mansion, because the Fred Stegmeyer Mansion happens to be the best bed and breakfast in the United States of America. The Terra 519, a modern take on fine dining, downtown Scranton. And right underneath it, Sergei's Live, the nightclub in Northeast Pennsylvania. Good for fogies like me and kids 40 years younger. It really is great. And Terra, hey, I go up and down stairs. Edward Snyder. We lost him March 30th. He was 88 years old. He was from Covington Township. He was reunited in heaven with his high school sweetheart and wife of 66 years, the former Pauline Holiva, who he lost this year, earlier in March, just 27 days before he passed. Born in Pringle, graduate of Larksville High School, he served us in the Marine Reserves during his high school years. He served out his enlistment, retaining the rank of corporal at the Marine Training Center in Wyoming. After he was married to Pauline, they established their residence in Piscataway, New Jersey for over 40 years. He worked for Westinghouse, Johnson & Johnson, then worked in construction, finally establishing his own company for 17 years, finishing out his career in Jersey as a building code official. He loved designing and fabricating custom cabinets and furniture for friends and family. While working, he'd bring the whole family to Big Bass Lake and built his family's weekend getaway. And that became his retirement home. He was a member of St. Rita's Church in Goldsboro, where he served as usher, Eucharistic minister, and member of the Pastoral and Finance Councils. Survived by his 2 sons, their wives, his 4 grandchildren, his 5 great-grandchildren, and other family members. Edward Snyder. Thomas Raskowitz, late of Sebring, Florida, but he was from Benton. Born in Luzerne, attended Luzerne High School, enlisted in the U.S. Navy, and traveled the world aboard the USS Macon. He was a member, and these are things I've never heard of, how cool, the Royal Order of the Blue Nose, as well as a member of the Solemn Mysteries of the Ancient Order of the Depp. Employed as a boilermaker at Foster Wheeler and Mountaintop, and later self-employed as a building remodeler along with his son, Tom Jr. Tom often boasted about how he delivered his daughter Alicia in the car during a January snowstorm. Avid fisherman, hunter. He was interested in his Eastern European roots, and a trip to Poland proved to be filled with history, education, and unforgettable, beautiful memories. He was preceded in death by his loving grandson, Liam Emil Vargas, back in May of 25. Survived by his wife of 61 years, Caroline Sombers Raskowitz. A daughter, a son, grandsons, and several favorite nieces and nephews. Thomas Raskowitz, our great veterans, this hour, brought to you by John Basiliga and Basiliga Hospitality Group. AccuWeather forecast brought to you by the gang at Montage Mountain Resort, which is swinging into spring as I speak. Today, clouds giving way to some sun with a brief shower this afternoon, high of 58. 49 degrees on Montage Mountain right now. Tonight, clear to partly cloudy, low 38. Tomorrow, intervals of clouds and sunshine with a shower in the area late in the afternoon, high 58, low 41. Saturday, becoming cloudy, high 57, low 35. That's Kentucky Derby Day, and that's the day of the concert. The big event Joe Nardone's bringing to the Kirby Center. You're going to love it. Sunday, breezy in the morning, otherwise mostly cloudy, high 58, low 40. Monday, times of clouds and sun. It'll climb to 65, they hope, with a low of 52. So maybe getting warmer. We'll see. I'm gonna be with the garage gang today, and it's a little chilly, isn't it? We're hoping to be outside, but it's just not going to happen. But that's the weather, brought to you by the great gang at Montage Mountain Resort. We played that Solyndra. Yeah, it's old news, but please, Barack Obama and Michelle Obama, don't save me and spare all of us your moralizing. Dirty politicians. Took care of your friends with our money. Don't forget it. Elvis, Murph tells us this date, 1957. He recorded this hit, Jailhouse Rock, at Radio Recorder Studios, Los Angeles, California. The song went on to the top of the Cashbox charts, whatever they are, Cashbox, Billboard charts, R&B charts, and also the country western charts. It also debuted at number 1 in the UK. Deservedly so. Made, I can tell you firsthand, made prison seem like fun, but no. Anyway, we're back. But by the way, yeah, don't let these Obamas tell you, speak from virtue. They're so virtuous. They're so righteous. They're not living with mansions in Hawaii and Massachusetts, Oceanside, because they were honest. Because they were, just so morally perfect. That's the fallacy. And again, you look at people want to make themselves, well, Trump is this and Trump is that, and grab him by the pussy and all that. Yeah, he's coarse. And he's self-interested. And he's an egomaniac. Get it. Fine. then I say to you, well, compared to what? Biden selling the country out? Creating dozens of shell companies to launder the money? Having granddaughters of his take consulting checks from areas of foreign policy where he just happened to be in charge as vice president? Please, spare me the moralization about Donald Trump. Now, we could go further, but I won't. We go into personal lives, but I won't. Just don't tell me and don't try to run that jive by anybody. Trump's a bad man. I could point it all out to you, chapter and verse about all of them. And by the way, about all of us, for the most part. No, this is who they are, phonies. And by the way, I've never heard Trump moralizing. He knows what he is. I think he's a much better person than he's ever been, but he knows what he was. Jenny C. from Plains Township, she says, Bob, isn't it amazing that Fetterman, who had a stroke and brain damage, is more intelligent than his fellow Dems who haven't had a brain attack and make no sense? Yeah, the stroke might have woken him from a Marxist haze. Another text again on Fetterman. A true treasure of a man. I mean, he's a good guy. I wouldn't mind hanging out with him. Please don't tell me he's a United States Senator. Please. But he's got courage of his convictions, which no other Democrat has. None. And the listener says, when shots rose out during the correspondence dinner, Fetterman refused to dive on the floor. It might have been because he couldn't, but I'll give him credit. Fetterman, seen looking at the door waiting for him to arrive, he said to tackle the gunman and save the lives and life of the president. I think you're going a little further there. It's a little too far. But Fetterman, fearless, is why he stands for Israel. I'm not going to credit him with all of that. But I like him. I don't want him to be my United States Senator. I pray the Republicans put up a good candidate because the Democrats are going to put up a lunatic to beat him. Lunatic leftist, and we could be stuck with it. Bob, your argument that someone else is bad doesn't make Trump good? No, it doesn't. I'm not saying he is. I'm not propounding his amazing morality. I am talking about his amazing, courageous policies, which is what matters. I'm just pointing out the people calling him a degenerate and a fascist and a Hitler are not good people. James Comey, a sickening disgrace. Shouldn't have been indicted for the nonsense with the seashells. That's stupid by the Trump administration. Whether they're trying to make Trump happy or whether it was on based on Trump's wishes, it was stupid, idiotic, and it won't stand. He did lie to Congress. He did lie to federal court judges, FISA judges. He did lie to the American people repeatedly, which is not a crime. But all these moralizers, again, you don't even want to get the point, maybe. I don't know. Somebody says, all right, here it is. I think it's hysterical that Biden's been gone for almost 2 years, and he's still living rent-free in your head. This scumbag ruined the country. We're recovering from him. What do you think, by the way, how do you think Iran got the money that's making us wipe them out? Biden gave it to them. $16 billion in unfrozen funds. Hundreds of billions in oil revenue because he ended the embargo. Why is he living in my head? You're stupid. And we'll take a break. We think of him as a rock and roll guy, but this was a totally different deal for him because Murph tells us on April 30th, 1960, Fats Domino recorded this hit, Walking to New Orleans, for Imperial Records. It would end up selling over 2 million copies. That means people went to Joe Nardone's Gallery of Sound and bought a record. Didn't download it in 5 seconds. It wasn't easy. You had to have that record. Fats Domino. So yeah, back to these a couple others, and I read the trolls. Their opinions are ignorant and just stupid. And these are the willful, ignorant people I talk about, because they're not stupid themselves. But they hold ridiculous, unsupportable positions. They're driven like children by their emotions. So one of them says, this troll, let's go to it. I wish they would identify themselves as something, but they're even afraid to make up a nickname for themselves. Where is it? Oh, that Biden's living rent-free in my head. No, he scummed up the country because he's sickening, liar, and incompetent, along with his left-wing lunatics who actually have the destruction of this country as their goal. Yeah, that's why he's living rent-free in my head. His policies are still killing us today. The listener could, that's the only fallback you have. That's not a fallback. That's not a fallback. You voted for scum and a dumbbell like Kamala Harris. That proves you're an idiot. Picardo says it's 9:50. You really can't complain about the Beach Boys. There's nothing to complain about. This date, 1966, Murph tells us the Beach Boys moved to number 4 with their hit, Sloop John B. Bob Cordaro back with you. Supreme Court decision. By the way, somebody left a phone message here complaining about ABC News and the lies of the Democrats, particularly by Mayor Cognetti, who's trying desperately to become a member of the squad, and she's getting help from the Soros gang and all the left-wing lunatics, proving she's a left-wing lunatic. No matter what lies she says during the campaign, she's a left-wing lunatic. Her biggest accomplishment as mayor of Scranton is taking urinals out of City Hall and not allowing anyone in. Insanity. This is who they put up for office. Oh, we could sell her. We could lie about her and make her better than she is. It's insane. But they didn't leave their name, but they left a message. So I just wanted to point out that we got your voicemail. It was forwarded to me. Not the oral part, but a text part. Let's talk about these lunatics. Justice Sonia Sotomayor. She's one of the worst. She got Ketanji Brown Jackson so that she wouldn't be the worst Supreme Court justice ever. Now, she said yesterday they had arguments about the Trump administration. Now, by executive order, there was temporary protected status for 350,000 Haitians. Trump ends it by executive order. Now, to any normal lawyer, any normal judge, anyone without an agenda, okay, it wasn't done legislatively. It was done by executive authority. It could be undone by executive authority. Well, no, it can't be because there are people. And here's a quote from her. We have a president saying at one point that Haiti is a filthy, dirty, and disgusting spithole country. He used the word. And declared illegal immigrants, which he associated with TPS, as poisoning the blood of America, showing that a discriminatory purpose may have played a part in this decision. Now, do you see the lack of self-awareness? Yes, he's discriminating against non-citizens. So not only is an executive order undoing an executive order, she misses the whole point. Who we let into this country is discriminatory by definition. You see how stupid and insane these people are? And they don't even get it. They don't even get it. Wow. That's breathtaking. Who you let into the country is discriminating. Who gets protected status? So Trump says it's a crappy country. They've got no culture. Their entire nation is corrupt. By the way, I will point out to you, and I know a lot of Dominicans from prison. The Dominican Republic, which is on the same island, they don't let the Haitians anywhere near them. And they've got a normal functioning society on the same island. They do not let Haitians into their country, period. If a Haitian tries to get in, they'll get shot. Look at the Somalians. No notion of what a country is supposed to be, and they're destroying Minneapolis and Minnesota. and stealing about $19 billion because that's who they are. And no effort to acculturate them to what America is on top of that. This is who these people are. Yeah, it's a spithole country. That's why we don't want them here. That's the entire point. Wow. I read the text from the trolls, and I'm just like, I'm blown away with the stupidity and what they miss. And they hear nothing. They hear nothing because they've got their flak jackets on to knock away facts. Truth, fact, and reality, they are strangers. Quite amazing. That's gonna if they don't prevail and ruin this country, and actual history is written about today, they're going to look at people like Sanders and the Democrat supporters, and they're going to say, what was this mental illness that gripped 35, 40% of the population? I would argue it's much lower, but then you just have ignorant followers, like actually ignorant followers. It's incredible. All right. I'm way late. Bacardo's tells me it's 10:03, so I'm 3 minutes late. Let's do that. We'll come back. Bob Cordaro and the eponymous program. We will roll on after the news, which is ABC and and AP, so it's going to be what it is. We'll be back. Great good morning, everyone. It's 10:11 a.m. Well, let's say it's 10:12 a.m. on my Cordaro Jewelers watch. This beautiful but rainy Thursday, April 30th, year of our Lord 2026, here in the great Northeast. This is the Bob Cordaro Show. I am he, and it's a big day to fight for America, defend our values, tell the truth, and honor, with the help of our man John Basiliga and his great Basiliga Hospitality Group, the brave who have made us and kept us free. People like the veterans we've lost this year, but celebrate today thanks to John. Like Thomas Raskowitz of Benton, Edward Snyder of Covington Township, Donald Harvey of Kerhonkson, New York, but he was from German. James Doran of Wilkes-Barre, Theodore Stemrich of Nescopec Township, and Paul Tyrell, late of St. Petersburg, Florida, but he was from Scranton. So with history, our amazing founding fathers, who we will not allow to be canceled, and the incomparable Constitution of the United States of America as our guides, let us continue today's battle. Gaveling back to order after that brief news adjournment, today's meeting of the Club for Common Sense, promising that our deep and unalterable commitment to common sense will provide a sanctuary of sanity to all of you who hearken here. Now that's a key. You actually have to listen. You can't put your left wing or Democrat Party sound barriers in. You can't be putting plugs in your ears. It's absolutely crazy. They literally don't listen. Here's an example. Let me find it real quick. Basically, they're saying something about me kissing Trump's feet, or I don't even. It's pure stupidity from somebody who's not stupid, but for some reason they want to be. Oh, here it is. Trump actively went backwards on affordability and war policy promises, and you kiss his feet for it. Yeah, because he found out what the Biden administration's insanity had caused in Iran. And that we were on the edge, the precipice of them delivering on their promise to bring about their apocalypse with nuclear weapons. You don't get that? Seriously. You hate Donald Trump that much, or are so devoted to stupidity of the Democrat Party that you don't get it? I explained it in detail. The argument is incontrovertible. It's undeniable. But yet you will deny fact, truth, and reality. It's a scary phenomenon. I was just talking to somebody in the hallway. This is crazy. These people are crazy. By the way, this hour, on a totally different subject, we have family 4-packs of the Penguins. And these are for Saturday, the 6:05 game against the Hershey Bears, the playoffs. Man, Cutie's been making me watch hockey, and I'm getting into it again. I love our Penguins, our local Pens. It's absolutely great. So later this hour, when the line's clear, so you have a shot at it, we're going to do a ticket giveaway. Okay? That we will do. But the Supreme Court decision, I've got to go to the phones, but the Supreme Court decision, here's the insanity. The Voting Rights Act was intended and necessary, by the way, to protect blacks and allow them to vote. Because, and I'll remind you, the Democrat Party had been screwing them since the Civil War. So the Voting Rights Act passes, and now we've got discrimination against everybody but the blacks in congressional districts in Louisiana. The Supreme Court 6-3 says, well, you can't discriminate. Doesn't matter what color you're trying to help. You can't discriminate against voters. You can't screw voters out of their right to vote. You can't put together congressional districts based on race. And the Democrats are going insane. That was the point of the Voting Rights Act. You can't discriminate based on race. But they want discrimination based on race. It's just, this is the level of insanity that we're being subjected to. Wow. I don't know. And then to have these people defending him. By the way, a couple of things I've been told. My man Rick Bigelow, because this is in reference to Thomas Raskowitz, one of our veterans. He said, in the U.S. Navy, a blue nose who is someone who has traveled at sea above the Arctic Circle. How about that? And he thinks, he's only guessing on this one, and Rick is a Navy guy. Solemn Mysteries of the Ancient Order of the Deep, which Thomas Raskowitz was also part of, may be for crossing the equator. Thomas Raskowitz. I love that obituary. Thank you, Rick. And one other, Mark the Shark. He points out April 30th, 1945, Adolf Hitler died, killed himself. Thank God. May he be burning in hell. We'll take a break and come back with some phone calls. Seals and Crofts. Merce tells us this date, 1973, they released that great song, Diamond Girl. What girl doesn't like diamonds? None that I know. Anyway, Bob Cordaro back with you on the program. I just want you to absorb this. To tell you there's not insanity in people who are functioning in society. Around the world, not just here. The United Nations. Mark Mayer sent me this. And thank God he sent it to me twice, because I had it yesterday and I forgot about it. The United Nations elect the Islamic Republic of Iran as vice president of the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Group in the United Nations. You can't make up who these people are. You can't make them any worse than they are. This is insanity. Oh, my God almighty. Iran voted into the leadership of nuclear non-proliferation when they've stated they want a nuclear weapon, which, by the way, is the definition of proliferation, and that they're going to use it if they get it. Wow. It just takes your breath away. And that's like when you listen to Democrats in this country. And their defenders, by the way. All right, I got a totally different track. We got to loosen up here and talk to our man, Angelutz. Angelo from Madisonville. How are you, Angelutz?
I'm doing good. Buddy John, I'll tell you what. They're nuts. There's
it's
something
insane.
wrong with
How do you deal with this? I'm like, wow.
How much did Iran pay that guy to put him in there? That's what I was
this is a vote of the United Nations.
I know it. Hey,
wow.
I know I don't have much time. A lot of calls. But I have to tell you, a week ago today, when I got to the doctor's office, they checked my blood pressure. It was 122. Yeah, 122 over 82.
Pretty good.
Yeah, that's great, man. Especially my age, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a blood pressure thing, and they asked me to monitor it. So I'm listening to you all morning. I took it 2 different times. Once it said 145 over 100 and some. And then it was 150 over, I don't know what the hell the other number was, right? And I said, this fires me up, you know, like I was tired and exhausted today, but I'm listening to this show. I packed about 4 boxes, you know, I'm moving on up to the center city here, you know.
Oh, nice.
And I'll tell you something right now. There was people there in the coffee shop. I had a little bit of discussion. I said, listen, I'm only going to say this one time, you know, turn your hearing aid up because I got to tell you. All right. I said, I pray for peace every day, but unfortunately, to obtain peace, sometimes there has to be war.
Yep.
And I walked out and, I ordered, okay, I have a spot tea, no cocoa, please, right? Mm-hmm. And they said, where the hell is that guy from? The one guy that never knew me. You know what I mean? Bunker Hill, I think he said. Boy, I'll tell you.
Truth in a very straightforward statement. Truth, absolute truth in a very straightforward statement. We would have, and by the way, without wars that are preemptive, you would have evil winning wars. You only need to look at Hitler.
Yeah.
And the level of destruction because they didn't stop him. Trump's stopping Iran, which is the new Nazi Germany.
There was a guy at the gas station the other day. I had to look twice. It looked like his brother. It looked like Hitler. I went up to him. It was Jimmy. I said, Jimmy, you got to shave, man. You got to touch your hair.
Boys from Brazil. Yeah.
Yeah. That's like, come on, bro. You got to, you're Irish. You're not German. Come on. You're going to get shot. You look like Hitler. laughing.
Hey,
Yeah,
we
yeah.
got to go, my friend. Always a
Okay.
pleasure, Andrew Lutz. I thank you.
Okay.
Good
God bless
statement.
you.
Good statement.
Yeah.
You got to fight once in a while to have peace. Thank you, man.
Okay.
We'll take a break, hear from our great sponsors, come back with the Veterans Tribute, the weather, and then we got some good callers on the line. I'm looking forward to getting with them. It's the Bob Cordaro Show. Our Veterans Tribute this hour, as with every hour, this day as with every day, brought to you by our man, John Basiliga, a great American. And I mean it. Today we feature one of his, most, visible companies, Basiliga Hospitality. 3 amazing bar restaurants. You got to try one of them, or 2 of them, or 3 of them this weekend. The Queen City Tavern, downtown Elephant, right on the main drag. The Far Street Tavern on Far Street, the reimagined neighborhood tradition, which had been invented by the Colarossi family. And the Old Brook Inn, 307 Springbrook Township. All fabulous. Fine dining at its best in a modern setting. Great bar, great fun. We had a blast there last weekend. A Terra 519. The Stegmeyer Mansion. I have loved it every time I've been there. Our girl Annie at the bar. It's just fabulous. Lemoncelli playing the piano. The Stegmeyer Mansion on South Franklin Street, Wilkes-Barre. And tonight, no cover. Sergei's Live, the nightclub in Northeast Pennsylvania. I've enjoyed it every time I've been there. Donald Harvey. He was from Kerhonkson, New York. And we lost him at age 87 last year on December 15th. His family says he left behind a legacy of strength, service, and devotion to those he loved. Preceded in death by his beloved wife, Sheridan, his brother, Jack, his parents, He'll be dearly missed by his daughters. A U.S. Marine, including as his grandson, Jay. He's survived by his sisters, nieces, nephews. Following his graduation from German high school, he honorably served this country as an airman first class in the United States Air Force, 1957 to 1961. Stationed at Loring Air Base in Maine. Afterwards, he worked for the Ford Motor Company in Mahwah, New Jersey, and then as a pest control in New Paltz, New York. Avid pool, dart, and ping pong player. A life well lived. Donnie's legacy will endure in the stories shared, the lessons passed down, the love that remains, and I will add, in his service to this great country. Donald Harvey. James Doran of Wilkes-Barre. We lost him at age 91, April 13th. Formerly of Berwick. He was born in Bloomsburg. 1952 graduate of Bloomsburg High School, resided in Freeland for most of his life, and had also resided in Bloomsburg and Berwick. Employed at Tobyhanna Army Depot as an equipment operator for 25 years, retiring in 1996. He served all of us in the U.S. Air Force during the Korean conflict. Member of St. Mary's Catholic Church in Berwick, also a life member of the Knights of Columbus in Bloomsburg. Preceded in death by his wife for 55 years, Frances Romeo Doran. Surviving his son, his granddaughter, sister, and other family members. James Doran. Our great veterans this hour brought to you by John Basiliga and Basiliga Hospitality. AccuWeather forecast brought to you by Montage Mountain Resort and the great gang up there. Today, clouds giving way to some sun with a brief shower this afternoon. High 58. It was drizzly and sort of miserable. It's 50 now at Montage Mountain. Tonight, clear to partly cloudy, low 38. Tomorrow, intervals of clouds and sunshine with a shower in the area. Late in the afternoon, high 58, low 41. Saturday, becoming cloudy, high 57. It's Derby Day. And it is the night of the concert that Joe Nardone is putting on with amazing acts at the Kirby Center. Low 35. Sunday, breezy in the morning. Otherwise, mostly cloudy. High 58, low 40. Monday, times of clouds and sun. High 65, low 52. Maybe the weather will break by next week. That's the weather brought to you by our great friends at Montage Mountain. The insanity, it continues. What rights are you losing under the Trump administration? Well, I don't know, but, and by the way, I've got to go. It's all childish emotion. By the way, I didn't mention it yet. Our friends at Roach Supply bringing you the live stream. I've got my Camp Freedom t-shirt on. And Mr. Paul, our news guy here and executive producer, he said, oh, you'll never fit into that. It was just a large. And I've lost weight since then, and it fits fine. So there you go. You can see the great Camp Freedom t-shirt on the live stream brought to you by Roach Supply. And they are the premier bath and kitchen supplier in Northeast Pennsylvania, based in Honesdale, but they cover all of Northeast Pennsylvania. They've got Chapman Supply in Clark Summit as well. 75 years in business. That means they're great at what they do. and veteran Ron Roach still pitching in his 90s. Go to roachsupply.com today. That's ROCHE. And check out what they could do for you, kitchen and bath. They're the best. They just are. All right. Let's see. Can we could sneak her in. Our girl, Lorraine from Hazleton, she's got a poem, and we're going to hear it. Hi, dear.
Hello, honey.
Now we're on a tight time frame here. A lot of calls, and we got some tickets we got to give away as well.
I'll take them.
Let's get right to it. Go ahead.
I read. This is a poem I read a long time ago, and I also wrote a long time ago. And a little funny. Man, excuse me. It's called. Oh, here we. It's called Men. Men come in all shapes and sizes. Some are bald, and others have hair. But I've come to the conclusion that I really do not care. They say you can't live with them or live without them. Maybe someday I'll get the chance, but I do know that in the meantime, I'll just have to settle for a little romance. Some like to wine and dine you, while others just sit on the couch. With the luck that I have, I'll probably end up with a grouch. I'm not sure what I'm looking for. I don't even know if I want a groom. The one thing I know is for certain, I want to be swept off my feet, but not with a broom. Some men know what they have, and others don't know what they'll get. But I do know what they're missing because they haven't met me yet.
Now, not one of your most elegant poems, but one of your funniest.
Well, that's what I said from the beginning. I want to lighten the mood.
Don't lighten the mood. I'm in a lather, and I want to stay in the lather. I always wonder, why do I go home and I'm exhausted? Because the idiots we're dealing with, the idiocy, is incomparable.
Listen, I called to lighten the mood.
Well, you did.
And thank God you talk loud because I have no trouble hearing you. Other people, I go, huh? You? That's one positive thing I have to say about you. Thank God for allowing us.
Thank you for all that positivity and a funny poem. We appreciate it, Lorraine. Thank you, dear.
Purposely. Well, okay, Mark. Hello, Mark.
She's saying hello to Mark Mayer.
Fuzzy Wuzzy. I'll have to say it.
Thank you, dear. Always a pleasure. Lorraine from Hazleton. We'll be right back. Somebody's texting in, if you're looking for causation for Iran getting a nuclear weapon, ripping up the Iran nuclear deal helped Iran get more nuclear materials. That's a lie. That's insane. You're insane. Why do you choose to believe this? They never stopped developing. And the money that the Biden administration showered them with, from oil sales to the release of $16 billion, allowed them not only to continue developing nuclear materials, nuclear weaponry, but ballistic missiles, and to support the Houthis, Hezbollah, and Hamas. You're insane. Wow. God, the stupidity is just off the charts. That's Michael Jackson, Murph says, with help from guitarist Eddie Van Halen. I did not know that. It was the number one hit this date, 1983. Beat it. Oh, my God. Beat it with your stupidity. We don't suffer fools gladly. I didn't say it today, but my God. That's unbelievable. Let's go right to Mike from Bloomsburg while we got 2 minutes. Hi, Mike.
Hey, Ben, I'll keep it short. Hey, listen, I have an opinion. I have an opinion that what happened during the Biden administration at the southern border was a contrived and controlled effort to bring people in and distribute them around the country to certain places to affect the Electoral College.
Yep.
And I've been told I'm a conspiracy theorist. You go on any AI site and ask them about that, and their answer is there's no evidence of that. How do you feel about what happened at the border?
It's total truth. They could not, through policies, keep people in their crappy, poorly run cities and horribly run states. They had to import bodies for the next census. And remember, when Trump's first term, somehow, I don't even know how, they beat him in he didn't want to count illegals and non-citizens in the census, and they won that point somehow. That's exactly why they did it.
Exactly. And to me, the idea that the general population doesn't believe it or doesn't care about it is just a sign of how much of a decline our culture is and how our society and America as a whole.
Yeah, it's scary, Mike, and we've got to save them from themselves. They couldn't save themselves they couldn't, because they're living lies. It's sadly true. And you point out in the message the drugs and the chaos that they brought across the border. On top of it, the death and destruction of this open border it's off the charts. And we have these poor families with daughters dead because of that illegal immigration. Unreal.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Hey, listen, thanks for the call.
Thank you, Mike.
Appreciate your work.
Thank you for your patience. Well, we're headed up to 10:50. That's what my Picardo Jewelers watch says. There it is. Murph tells us this date, 1999, Aerosmith members visit shooting victim Lance Kirkland in a Colorado hospital before their show in Denver. Lance was one of 28 students wounded, and there was 13 additional killed by two deranged kids at Columbine High School. They dedicated their song Living on the Edge to him at their concert that night. Bob Cordaro back with you on the program. And, hey, we're going to give you some tickets away. I told you we're going to do it this hour. We're going to sneak it in now. So get your, nobody's dialing a phone, whatever, your speed dial going. Family 4-packs of Penguins Calder Cup playoff tickets. We're giving them away today. They're for Saturday, the 6:05 game against Hershey. Playoff game, by the way. And give the Bulldog your information because you got to get their electronic tickets. You got to do it by email and all that. So this is for Saturday, May 2nd game, playoff game against Hershey. We will take the 7th caller again. Let's go lucky number 7. 7th caller for the 4-pack of Penguin Calder Cup playoff tickets. All right, and while we're doing that, because we've still got a lot of lines open, let's go to Bill from Pittston. Hi, Bill. How are you?
Doing good. Some interesting stuff here. Chief Rabbi Warren Goldstein from South Africa responded to Pope Leo's Easter sermon saying that God would smite those that bring war and there'd be blood on their hands. His comment was that the blood is on the Pope's hands because he cannot distinguish between good and evil, and that all the Israeli soldiers that died are saints and martyrs. And the Pope has no soul because only someone without a soul could not distinguish between the horrors of Hamas and all those evil people that were fighting. And he went on to say again that they're barbarians and he can't distinguish. There he has forfeited his ability to be a religious leader because his soul does not exist anymore.
I can't disagree. This Pope has been a disgrace. His statements and opinions, and sometimes taken out of context, I admit that. But he has not provided any balance to the slaughter of Christians in Africa. When he was in Africa, he has not provided any balance or factual regarding the evil of the Iranian regime, which wants nuclear weapons, and he's got a lot of brilliant people around him, so it was easy to discover. The sick, twisted Islamic radicals who run Iran wanted to bring about their version of apocalypse with nuclear weapon, and he didn't even acknowledge that. It's a disgrace.
Well, the rabbi went on, as you've said before, if it wasn't for this war in Iran, the Iranians would create a Holocaust. And if the Pope can't see that, then he's missing the point.
It was their stated intent. I don't even know how you couldn't see it. It's their stated intent.
Well, you know what? The Pope is brave when he can attack somebody that he knows isn't going to really do him any harm. It's almost like South Park when they do stuff on Jesus, attacking, making fun of. But when they did one on Muhammad, they backed off because they were afraid that Muslims would kill him for it. So he will not attack, somebody or stand up to the Muslims. If anything, he's been reaching out, saying we have a lot in common. I don't understand.
Not understandable.
I'm so disappointed.
It's not understandable. Bill, we got to go because we got a contest going on. But thank you. We got to hear about that. We got a winner. Do we have a name for the winner? What do we got, Bulldog? All right. Dan from Wilkes-Barre Township, you can stop calling. But Dan from Wilkes-Barre Township has won the 4-pack of Penguins Calder Cup tickets for Saturday night against Hershey at 6:05. The Bulldog will get your information, Dan, and make sure we get it all down so we get you your tickets. Hey, something I didn't want to miss, and it's why we need newspapers. Unfortunately, we have horrible newspapers owned by some out-of-town company, and they are left-wing, disgusting rags. But there will still be important stories within the newspapers. And the citizen's voice, it was something I talked about, how the Northwest area, my gosh, the school district moved up the high school graduation for the Crawford family and retired firefighter Michael Crawford, who had terminal cancer. 12 kids. And they had the ceremony. Sadly, retired Wilkes-Barre firefighter Michael Crawford has passed. But he saw the graduation. And you know what else they did? His 6 youngest children, who will be future graduates, they gave them diplomas so that he could see all of it. Beyond heartwarming. And dozens of people from the Wilkes-Barre Fire Department there, including Fire Chief Jay Delaney. And the union, they all got behind it. Amazing. Great stuff. So thank you to Northwest Area School District for allowing Michael Crawford to see the graduation and really technically the graduation of all of his kids. All 12 children. Amazing legacy. This story, part of that legacy for the Crawford family. God bless. Now, Picardo Jewelers watch tells me it's 11:01, which means we've got to go because it's news time. We'll see what they have planned on the news, but let's do that, and then we'll come back. It's the Bob Cordaro Show, 11:01. You know it does, baby. And we ain't giving. We're going to war with insanity. Great good morning, everyone. It is 11:11 a.m. on my Cordaro Jewelers watch. This beautiful Thursday, April 30th, 2026, here in the great Northeast. This is the Bob Cordaro Show, and I am he. And it's a big day to fight for America, defend our values, and to defend truth, while honoring, with the help of our man John Basiliga and his great Basiliga Hospitality Group, the brave who have made us and kept us free. People like veterans we've lost this year and last, but celebrate today thanks to John. Like James Doran, Wilkes-Barre, formerly of Bloomsburg and Berwick. Donald Harvey, late of New York State, but he was from German. Thomas Raskowitz, Sebring, Florida, and Benton. Edward Snyder, Covington Township. Theodore Stemrich, Nescapek Township. And Paul Tyrell, late of Florida, but he was from Scranton. So with history, our great founding fathers, who we will not allow to be canceled, and the incomparable Constitution of the United States of America as our guides, let us continue today's battle. Gaveling back to order, this meeting of the Club for Common Sense, promising that our deep, abiding, and unalterable commitment to common sense will provide a sanctuary of sanity to all of you who hearken here. Quick thing. Somebody texted in on the Crawford family. I've got to find. Oh, I go to church with the Crawford family. Mike, the late Mike Crawford, retired fireman. His family is a beautiful family, and he has great children and an amazing wife. He has left a great legacy. Yep, isn't that great? And I tell you, complimenting and say he's at home with his father. Just kudos to Northwest area and the Wilkes-Barre Fire Department for being part of this honoring, and man, bless that family. 12 children. 12 children. So, quickly, personal note, my grandson, and they caught it on film. It's easier to catch it on film. He said "dada" today. He's not even my youngest grandchild, but he said "dada" today. So today's a big day. I nicknamed him Spitz because that was his great-grandfather's name, and his great-great-grandfather's nickname and his father's nickname, great-grandfather's nickname. In any event, I've been talking to you about the Southern Poverty Law Center and this 11-count indictment against them for basically funding hate groups to step up their hate so that you can't make this up, so that the SPLC would have an excuse to exist. They couldn't find enough real racism, so they had to pay to gin it up. And they're already starting to suffer from the implications. A couple of corporate foundations have said, we ain't giving any more money to SLPC. Thank God. It's been a disgrace for decades. And Kalen Deese is with us. He's the Department of Justice reporter for the Washington Examiner. Yeah, you've heard him before. You know that he knows his stuff. And here he is, Kalen Deese.
Thanks so much for having me on, Bob. It's great to be back.
Hey, Kalen, we have you on often enough. You have to start thinking about a theme song for when you are on.
Yeah, I mean, I think I said one time, something from anything from Dark Side of the Moon, I think would be a great intro.
Right,
something.
Next time,
Pink Floyd.
Okay, next time you're on, tell the Bulldog what you want to hear for your theme song, and we'll do it. You're regular enough to do that.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you, Bob. Appreciate it.
down to business, Kalen Deese. Tell us about the indictment. What does it say?
Yeah, so the indictment essentially accuses the SPLC of several counts of wire fraud, attempt to commit wire fraud, and essentially misrepresenting its own use of its donors' money that is going to presumably causes that are, purportedly for fighting racism. But what we actually have seen from the Justice Department's, indictment, and this is a grand jury that, signed off on this indictment. So there is an element here where it's members of the public who looked at the facts and saw everything and saw that the SPLC was allegedly actually sending this money off to different hate groups and organizations like Aryan, organizations, KKK, different types of groups that were then using their resources to, have these types of events, rallies, trying to create this portrayal of a extreme right that is engaged in this type of very racist, we saw all the headlines from 2017 onwards since Charlottesville, just about how much the media was talking about this uprising of, hate groups, fomenting on the right. But in reality, what the SPLC was doing, if the indictment holds up, if a jury decides to convict, it will show that the group was, in fact, just doing everything that they were doing, funding these groups in order to sustain themselves, in order to justify the reason for the SPLC's existence. I mean, the SPLC dates back to the I believe the 70s. And back then there was a more legitimate civil rights purpose for its existence, and the work that it was doing was far different than it was actually in the last 10 or so years. So, when you have legacy institutional type of groups like this, and especially groups that previously worked with the FBI, worked sort of hand in hand using informants, there's definitely a bit of a question mark about who sort of died and made this an intelligence agency that's not even part of the government. I mean, it's really a question of how did this happen to the point where we gave this institution so much credibility and power? And I think that it's great that we're finally seeing a Justice Department that's willing to look into these matters and see, if there really was a giant boatload of fraud that was taking place using donors' money, donors that presumably are mostly on the left and are people who actually, thought the money might be going to so-called fight racism.
I guess it's like a lot of these groups. Well, you look at, the Al Sharptons and whatever. When you're looking at civil rights group, when there is no more structural racism, I guess SPLC decided, well, we've got to go one step further. We've actually got to create and foment the racism. Otherwise, there'll be no reason for us to exist.
Yeah, it's an interesting indictment because right now we don't have any named named defendants, except for the actual organization. So it's one of those question marks, I think, for a lot of people is, what is going to be the actual punishment that could come down for somebody if only the organization is named. But I think that a lot of times whenever these types of cases are just getting started is they want to put together the ultimate sort of idea or the evidence before a grand jury and come to at least a safer determination of, well, can we say that the organization as a whole might have been engaging in this kind of practice? And if the evidence is there to point towards that, then that's usually a safer place to start. Whereas then prosecutors, once the case gets moving in court, can start to use discovery and other evidence to potentially bring on more individuals who might have been responsible for contributing to that alleged fraud. So I think that that's where this DOJ strategy is taking place right now. Is we have a bunch of named not really named, but so-called like labeled informants that are talked about in this indictment, labels with like F12, F13, so on and so forth. So we don't know the specific names of people who were getting paid off, but they at least know who they are behind the scenes. They don't want to out them publicly yet because they don't want to do anything that could, taint the case. But they do, I believe, have enough names, I think, to point back towards specific individuals within the SPLC who they could point the finger at as contributing to the fraud. So I would say it's definitely one of those things that remains to be seen. I mean, look what we just saw the other day in Minnesota. We finally saw the raids on child care facilities after several months of those being exposed by Nick Shirley. So it just took a little bit of time for those investigations to take place. And similar to this one, this started many years ago from what we were being told by Acting Attorney General Dodd Blanche. He also told us that this was shut down during the Biden administration.
Yeah.
So it's an investigation that's taken a lot of time and a lot of patience to put together, because obviously following the money can be a difficult process. But we are finally seeing a case, I think, that really exposes what a sham the narrative was for the longest time, trying to link President Donald Trump to white supremacist factions. I mean, it's basically astroturf, if you want to find a better word to describe it.
Kalen Deese is a Department of Justice reporter for the Washington Examiner. Among the specific connections that the SPLC was exposed for was being involved with this Unite the Right deal, which is the group that started the protest in Charlottesville, Joe Biden's very reason, or so the scumbag claims, for running for office, for running for president.
Yeah, it's kind of out of a movie, you know. It's like, how can we find a way to get this former president to try to come up with something that we can sort of, really unite the country on and try to make him out to seem like a big bad guy. And I think that, when you take a look at the SPLC money that was going into that Charlottesville, event, and I want to be clear. I mean, I think that there were people there who, probably didn't have to get paid any money to, espouse, racist
just
ideas
like at the No Kings
or
rally.
things that were reprehensible.
Yeah, there's actually
Right.
dummies
but
that go
there's
for
certainly-
free. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, wait, you're getting paid for this? No, I definitely do think that there are those people, but I do think that the ones who are receiving money to go in and be informants, like, they're there to stir the pot. They're there to get more people in the crowd, to try to convince more people that, hey, come on in, the water's fine.
Yeah.
Come join this event that we want to, grow and make our political opponents look bad with. And I think that, you could probably call it a pretty effective strategy for a long time, because, whether if the SPLC wasn't doing this, if they weren't engaging in this alleged practice of fraud, using their, donors to make fraudulent types of payments, who's to say that President Joe Biden would have even run for president? It's like, what would he have had to run off?
He would have made up a different lie. That's fine. But winning the primary is a different story, right? Exactly. Yeah. So Kalen Deese, tell us, how is this process going to take place, and how long do you think the process will be of exposing the SPLC for what they are?
Well, you're going to see a lot of early motions in the beginning of this case for the SPLC, which is being represented by lawyers with like ACLU, are going to be probably making the claim in court that this is a vindictive case, that that's based off of some misleading evidence, or that it's not a whole picture of the of what was taking place between around 2013 and 2023 is the rough range of this activity. And I believe that you're going to be seeing a lot of early steps in this process by SPLC and their attorneys to get the case thrown out. And it is, I will say, a case where people have asked the question, a surprising question that is, about, sort of what is illegal about paying somebody who might be in a so-called hate group. Well, there wouldn't be anything illegal per se if that was something that was made transparent about what their donors' funds are supposed to be being used for.
Yes.
But it's the question of how many people who donated to this organization knew or wanted the money that they were going to this organization to fight racism, to fight bigotry, to go directly to these hate groups. And I think that is one of the linchpins of this entire case. Is I would be willing to argue that none of those people who donated to the SPLC wanted the money to go that direction. And I think it'll be something that the government has to try to make the case that was, in fact, a wire fraud, that was, in fact, intent to commit wire fraud, and that it was ultimately a misleading venture for the SPLC to do that. So whether they can convince a court on that remains to be seen. We are seeing a court in Alabama with a judge there appointed by President Trump who's weighing the case. So I think that as far as people who might have concerns about partisanship in the judiciary. I think that at least from a Trump supporter perspective, I think some of those people can rest easy knowing that this is going to be a judge that's going to weigh this fairly, and hopefully, no matter which way the case falls down, people can respect the outcome with it. But I definitely think that no matter the outcome, this is going to forever change people's perceptions of the SPLC going forward.
Hopefully, and a lot of people have been decrying their left-wing lunacy for a long time. So this is a start. It is. It's like the firemen starting the fire and then going to fight it.
Absolutely.
Crazy.
Perfect analogy.
Yeah. Well, Kalen Deese, we appreciate it very much. You'll be following this case for the Washington Examiner, and we hope you'll follow it through us and our audience as well.
Yes, Bob, and I just want to let you know before I head out. I'm here at the courthouse right now for the Cole Allen hearing. Yes. The man who stormed the hotel on Saturday and was charged with attempting to assassinate President Trump. We are covering that case as well. So anytime you want to hear any updates about it, we're here with following a detention hearing today for him. So it's going to be definitely a wild ride in this court here in D.C. over the next several weeks and months.
You have one hell of a portfolio, Kalen Deese. That's why we love to have you on. That's why you deserve the theme song.
Yeah, put on some Dark Side of the Moon. Something from that album.
Kalen Deese, Department of Justice reporter for the Washington Examiner. We'll take a break. It's the Bob Cordaro Show. Our Veterans Tribute this hour, as with every hour, this day as with every day, brought to you by our man John Basiliga and his great Basiliga Hospitality Group. 3 amazing bar restaurants. Check them out. Far Street Tavern, Queen City Tavern, the Old Brook Inn. 2 amazing fine dining establishments. The Terra 519, downtown Scranton. Stegmeyer Mansion, downtown Wilkes-Barre. And then The Nightclub, Northeast PA. Getting ready for their big Kentucky Derby event, Sergey's. I was there last year. It was fabulous. Paul Tyrrell. He was just 76 when he passed January 10th in St. Petersburg, Florida, surrounded by his family. He was born in Scranton. He and his wife, the former Ellen Golden, celebrated 51 years of marriage just last April. He attended Dunmore Schools before going to the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill. He was drafted by the United States Marine Corps. A veteran of Vietnam, he was a proud Marine. Despite the turmoil he returned to in the United States following his tour of duty, he strongly believed in an ethos of humility over self-promotion, which he learned in the Corps. He was always a champion for the underdog. He was Semper Fidelis. He worked as Assistant Chief of Information Resource Management at the Department of Veterans Affairs in St. Petersburg Regional Office, with responsibilities spanning the East Coast and Puerto Rico. He traveled throughout the United States to gain knowledge from IBM, Apple, and other large tech leaders to enhance VA operations, with his main mission to assist veterans in a more efficient and timely manner. His greatest source of personal pride was his son, Matthew. There was nothing he enjoyed more than watching Matt strive for and achieve goals. His brother-in-law, my old friend, Thomas Golden. His parents, Stanley and Rachel Fox Golden, predeceased him. He's survived by his loving wife and caregiver, Ellen, in St. Petersburg, his son, Matthew, and his wife, Maria, in D.C., a brother, Leo, in Jersey, and his sister-in-law, Arlene Golden Dunmore. Many other family members as well. Paul Tyrrell. Theodore Stemrich. He was 99 years old when we lost him April 8th. He was from Nescapec Township. Born in New Angola Station, 1927. Ted painted bridges on the railroad in upstate New York. He served us in the U.S. Navy from 1944 to 1946 during World War II. He also worked in the coal mines for 4 years. He later started working as a carpenter for Urbanski Construction and went on to open his own construction company, which he operated for many years before retirement. In 1946, he met the love of his life, Leona Rumpula, and they dated for 4 years before getting married in 1950. Together, they raised 4 children, leaving a wonderful legacy for generations to follow. They were married for 74 years before Leona's passing in 2024. He'll be greatly missed by his daughters, a son, grandchildren, 11 great-grandchildren, 2 great-great-grandchildren. Surviving also a brother, Gerald, and his wife, Endurance. Theodore Stemrich almost made 100. Our great veterans this hour, brought to you by John Basiliga and Basiliga Hospitality. AccuWeather forecast brought to you by the great gang at Montage Mountain Resort, swinging into spring even as I speak. Today, clouds giving way to some sun with a brief shower this afternoon, high 58. Tonight, clear to partly cloudy, low 38. Tomorrow, intervals of clouds and sunshine with a shower in the area late in the afternoon, high 58, low 41. Saturday, becoming cloudy, 57, low 35. Sunday, breezy in the morning, otherwise mostly cloudy, high 58, low 40. Monday, maybe it's getting warmer. Times of clouds and sun, 65, with a low of pretty good, 52. And that's your weather, brought to you by our friends at Montage Mountain Resort, who tell me that it's 51 degrees at Montage Mountain right now. Well, you know that song. You know what it means. It means Tina Morocco's here, Global Sales Advisor at Sotheby's International, Naples, Florida. And she can be reached through Sotheby's in Naples, or you go right to the source. Tina Morocco, MURACCO.com. And she's your trusted guide to Florida real estate, specializing in Southwest Florida. And she's here. Hi, Tina. How are you today?
Hey, I'm doing well, Bob. How are you?
I'm good. We've got a sort of a miserable day up here so far. I always think weather when I think you and Montage. And you know.
Well, it's a good combination.
It's a good combination. But you tell us what's happening down there.
Certainly. Well, down there, I'm actually in Indianapolis today with my Penn State college roommates getting married. So Dominic and I are here in Indianapolis.
Nice.
So, but we flew in this morning, and as I was driving from our house in downtown Naples up to the airport, I was just thinking about how much new construction we have all around downtown Naples. So all the perimeters, there's new construction. And I'm not just talking about like residential new construction, but we have a ton of hotels going in. We have a ton of condos, apartments, but it's all around the perimeter. So if you haven't been to downtown Naples recently, check it out. And it's construction season. You know, we're headed out of season right now, out of our high season, which are tourist season. So a lot of construction going on, which is interesting. I went on a tour of a condo complex just the other day. It's called the Halcyon. It's right off of Davis Boulevard, which is kind of off of Fifth Avenue. And these are waterfront condos. They're building a marina there.
Wow.
120 condos. Yeah, they're beautiful. The showroom is just it's gorgeous. And these are, you know, pretty ultra luxury condos. They're, you know, range from $3 to $6 million, and they're big. They've got great views and great amenities. So you would be able to walk to downtown, like to Fifth Avenue from there. But as we were touring it, one of the interesting things the sales lady was saying is she's like, "Oh yeah, we have padel courts." I was like, "What is that? What is padel?" So that's a new sport that's taking off in Southwest Florida. You know, we have the pickleball, we have tennis, golf, but padel is kind of a hybrid
How's
between.
that spelled? What is that?
It's Padel. I think it's Spanish for the paddle, but it's a hybrid between tennis and squash. And so the courts are like a third of the size of tennis courts, but it's, you know, a racquetball game. Like it's almost like you have tennis rackets and you're hitting the ball back and forth. But it's interesting. This is the first community that I've been in, but they're like, "Oh yeah, we're building padel courts." I was like, "What?"
Well, people they're looking for excuses to get outside.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, maybe it'll be a big draw. I don't know, but yeah. So
Amazing.
that's just an example of, some of the new construction. They're doing a lot of different things in these
Tina, how
communities.
long, you've been down there for years. Have
Yeah,
you been?
uh-huh.
The history of Florida is they overbuild. It isn't even the normal cycles of recession and all of that the rest of the country experiences. It's its own ecosystem in many ways, and they'll overbuild, and then there'll be things that you could buy cheap, and then the market always recovers. And,
it does, yeah.
And more building continues. Do you think we're at a place where, because you said we're in the buyer's market, at least seasonally, do you think we're getting close to the place where they're overbuild and buyers should start
That's
really
a good
looking?
question. Yeah, so in certain areas, we are certainly seeing an oversupply in certain areas. I think construction really took off during COVID and, in Southwest Florida in general. And so I think there are a lot of areas that are, you can just, especially with the, big communities with the Lennar and the Pulte, you can really get a good deal because, there's just a lot out there. But I will say in Naples, we're kind of in a bubble. Our ultra luxury segment is just going bonkers right now. And when I talk about ultra luxury, that's $5 million plus. So there's a substantial investment in the ultra luxury market here. It's just,
Tina, wait till
why.
New York City and New York State passed that $5 million threshold tax. I mean,
well, that's what we're seeing. We're seeing a lot of people move their primary residences to Florida, people with, a substantial wealth. So, yeah. So, that always happens, things, politics, everything, there's a cycle.
It matters, yeah. Well,
Well,
that's great. So we've learned, again, it's always something unique with you.
Padel.
Now we've learned what padel is. It's some kind of tennis squash matchup. I don't know.
Hybrid.
Well, I love
Yeah.
it. I love it. Well, thank you, Tina. I appreciate it always.
Absolutely.
Have fun at the wedding, and we'll talk to you Monday, all right?
All right, take care. Thanks, Bob.
Right. Tina Morocco, Global Sales Advisor at Sotheby's International, Naples, Florida. She is your guide to Florida real estate, your trusted guide. That's the important part. And she is a specialist in Southwest Florida. You could reach her through Sotheby's or Tina Morocco, MURACCO.com. Legendary R&B performer Ben E. King passed away at the age of 76, this date 2015. Murph says he was a member of the group The Drifters and was the lead singer on their most memorable hit, Stand By Me. Oh, what a great song, huh? Hey, we're going to finish with James Taylor from his 6th studio album, Gorilla, How Sweet It Is to Be Loved by You. That'll be our rap song. But we've got some business to do. Biden banner disgrace, day 136. The Greenridge Neighborhood Association, against anything that's morally correct, put up a hometown hero banner for Joe Biden, who did not serve in the military. In fact, actively avoided it. After being told that hometown hero banners were for veterans only, they kept it up, and it's still there today, day 136. It is stolen valor. It is a disgrace. And the Greenridge Neighborhood Association apparently has no shame. Tear that banner down. Biden banner disgrace, stolen valor, day 136. All right, well, let's go to some real Americans here. Our man Paul from the Factoryville Sportsman Club. Paul, we got a big event on Sunday. Tell us about it.
Yes, we do, Bob. It's a triple. First, you have the fun of shooting clay birds, either 50 or 100 clay birds on our beautiful sporting clays course. Second, you get a great home-cooked, right there on the grill, steak dinner, including dessert, coffee, all the amenities with it. And third, you're helping support a really good cause because we use all the proceeds, and I mean everything, from this event to fund our scholarship program. So come on out Sunday. It starts at 9 o'clock at the Factoryville Sportsman's Club. The steaks will be ready by 11:30, so you can shoot and sit down and relax and have a great steak dinner. And our last squad goes out at 1:30. It usually takes about an hour to an hour and a half to complete the course. So what a great way to spend a beautiful day on Sunday.
Beautiful. Well, thank you. Have a great time. That is a bargain by any stretch. And we thank you for doing it. And kudos to as always, the Factoryville Sportsman Club. You guys do a great job. You really do.
Just check out our website for information. You can register there, or you can come and not even register and show up and just shoot and have a great time.
Nice. Well, thank you, Paul, for telling us about it again. We appreciate it, and we appreciate the Factoryville Sportsman Club. Keep doing things like this. We appreciate it.
You bet, Bob. You're the best.
All right, man. Well, we're finishing up with our guy, James Taylor. He's a left-wing lunatic, but we like his music. Somebody texting in, and I've got this. I'm going to try to talk about it tomorrow. There's always so much to talk about. I would direct the trolls to Miranda Devine's column in today's New York Post. These people put faith in their government, and this report blows up the whole COVID vaccine myth and the other evil behind the mandates. They knew the risks and the side effects and still made it mandatory. And the same people will listen to their bull crap every day. You're right. I'm saving. My man Gary sent the article to me. by Miranda, and I'm going to try to do that. We've had her on the air. We love her. Fact, truth, and reality. They're frightened by it. They're disturbed by it. It bothers them. Hey, quick mention. Just a guy, great guy. A guy I've looked up to since I've known him. Mike Roccabaldo. He's going to be, he was 92. He's going to be have his funeral services tomorrow. And obviously it'll be during the show. I can't get there. Just a good, solid guy. Great American. Mike Roccabaldo. Just want to condolences to him and his family, the Capolinis, the whole gang. Great gang. And final mention, Roach Supply brought you the live stream. And my beautiful, cool Camp Freedom t-shirt. They're the premier bath and kitchen supplier in Northeast PA. 75 years in business. That means they're doing it right. RoachSupply.com, R-O-C-H-E. We love them. Great family bid. Just like the Picardos. We're in multi-generations. They're still getting it done. It's 12 o'clock. That means I've got to go. Sue Henry show next. Rob O'Donnell show after that. God willing, I'll be with you tomorrow morning. But for now, I've got to gavel to a close this meeting of the Club for Common Sense and tell you have a great afternoon. Adios, gang.